can answer this, yes.
Mobile data, right?
Yeah, mommy said.
Today is Thursday, March 8, 2018. We do apologize for the late start. So good night to our PEP members. Welcome to Frontline. My name is Janice Leamonda Cricky, and I am the Public Relations Officer of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And my co-host is Anthony Defoe, Head of PEP Media for tonight's show. Say good night, Anthony.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Today is International Women's Day around the world, and our topic tonight is the challenges of being a woman in Trinidad and Tobago. Jordan Young. Lima is the caretaker for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, and Giselle is the party's treasurer. Also tonight we are going to be getting a call from the head of the Women's Arm, Giselle Ramjet. She's going to be calling to give us her message to the women on this great day. Before we get started, ladies, good night.
Good night.
I'm so happy to have you here and for you to be talking about the challenges that women in Trinidad and Tobago experience. You are both young mothers, so that is going to add to the conversation. Going through the newspapers today, I came across a fabulous article that was done by Leela Ramdeen. She is the chair of the Catholic Commission for the Social Justice. In her article, she talks about the theme of International Women's Day for this year. And that theme is Time is Now. Rural and urban activists transforming women's lives. The UN rightly states this year, International Women's Day comes on the heels of unprecedented global movement for women's rights. In the United States of America and their counterparts in other countries, on issues ranging from sexual harassment to equal pay and women's political representation. Rural women make up over a quarter of the world's population and are being left behind in every measure of development. We are called to transform the momentum into action to empower women in all settings, rural and urban. Sadly, around the world, many women in both rural and urban settings continue to suffer because of a gross violation of this moral order, a violation which leads, for example, to poverty and social exclusion, discrimination in the workplace, domestic violence, including murders, human trafficking, and various forms of enslavement, sexual abuse, exploitation. There seems to be also a lack of access to basic amenities and other human rights, such as education and so on. If we are to change systems, structures, institutions, and public policies that are at the root cause of injustice, we have to become change agents. Lima, do you agree that women on a whole have to become change agents?
Yes, I agree. You see, women come from, according to traditional times where they say women are nurturers and you take care of the home, you nurture the children. So what you teach your children is basically what they are going to go out there and do. So women basically are the change. We have to be the change.
Well, that's right. That's right, because we are the ones who go through the 9 months of labor.
Yeah.
We literally look
Have one
after.
foot in that door and one foot out, basically waiting to have this child.
That's right. That's right. Giselle, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that with changes in society over the years, women would have taken their place in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And so now a woman's role is not just only hinged to child rearing and taking care of the household, but now also being an economic contributor to the household as well and to society. I believe that with that, partnering with our male counterparts, we can in fact push for the change that we implemented, so that it touches our lives in a meaningful way as well.
Yeah. Do you think that the women in Trinidad and Tobago are truly empowered?
No.
Why?
I don't think we fully understand our roles, the responsibilities we have, or the power we have as women.
Right.
You go through the 9 months of labor. You are the one that feels all this pain, this hurt, anything to deal with your children, your household, your husband, your family. The woman is the one to bear that brunt of it. Your husband, he has some sort of financial something. Yes, he will be under stress, but the woman is the one to show him that, listen, we can do this together. We can be strong as a family. Because he's going to be studying, oh God, I don't have money to provide, but the woman will be able to break down that $100 and do so many different things. For men to understand that and see that.
That is so true. I want to touch a little bit on the issue of pay. Women in Trinidad, or well, around the world, they are, regardless of whether you are in a manager's position, whether you are in an executive position, for some reason, we don't get the same pay as men do. What is it that we can do as women to try and, get the men or to get the organizations to consider treating women equally as men?
I think we have to break down the stigma. Because I think that sometimes we are looked at as the weaker sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so, breaking down the stigma would be able to show we see more women than men there, and that we own our place in executive level positions and that type of thing, and we deserve what the men would get. I don't know what it would take, but maybe the policymakers can assist where that is concerned to ensure that there is fairness and equity regarding pay for women.
Right.
I think to not making it only about a woman's rising, but a gender. If you get men on board to support women so they could be part of the whole thing to go together, they would see that, okay, it's not only a woman thing, so it's just all about women. They would feel as part of the solution, so you go hand in hand together. I think that way we could look at it to sort of include them instead of it seeming to be all about women and we not getting this. I mean, yes, it's a big issue that women are not being paid equally as men, but I think men just don't understand the roles that women have to play, the things women have to go through emotionally, physically, everything. So if they were more in touch with that, then they would see how they could help women to go in that direction.
Yeah. Do you think that by a government getting, seeking out or doing a forum with women and getting their ideas in terms of how we can address the problem of the issue of pay, is it that we can set a policy like, you know, you have the labor laws, and you can have a clause that says, listen, women who reach this level must be paid the same amount as men, irregardless of, you know, whatever the corporation might consider is she's not deserving of. What do you think would be a good way of addressing that in terms of from a governmental perspective?
I think the law would be the best solution to that, so it will show equality across the board. But the thing is, how you're going to do that? Wouldn't it come as though you're inflicting or forcing this law on companies?
Well, not quite, because we have the labor laws that also protect the rights of workers. Right? So it's a matter of protecting the rights of women and men, because, you know, in some companies you may find a man not being the woman, so that when she does, if she gets a position that, you know, let's say her that she should be paid the $10.
Right.
You see?
I think that Trinidad and Tobago, as being signatories to the ILO, and also having ratified a lot of the ILO conventions, which would even look at decent work agenda for both male and female,
Right.
and also talk about gender issues and stuff. The government already have the policies, and they are aware of what the ILO is trying to do to ensure that internationally, worldwide, women have access to decent work, which includes equity in pay. So I think that having a national symposium that includes women, that they come out and they give their views and that kind of thing, would be effective. And I believe in some instances it is important for the government to be the leader in terms of policy and that kind of thing, to show that they are really serious about the conventions that they would have ratified and signed up on.
Yeah.
You know, so that at the end of the day, they are the leaders, the employers will conform, and we would see, you know, the policies changing, the trends changing.
Not only that, I guess we could look to those countries that have already implemented it and see how it works for them, and try and see how it could work for us. So it shouldn't be too bad or too hard to do. I mean, if other countries have done it, why not?
There's a will, there's a way of getting it done. Yes. Well, you know, there's books been written about men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And this is where Tony's views now come in.
You notice Trinidad and Tobago staying real quiet in the corner with me alone here, no brother. You know what I mean? But anyway, I have in my mind 3 of PEP's, I have to say, most powerful women here alongside me. And let me tell you, we have a lot of powerful women in PEP. My take on the whole scenario where equality for women is concerned, my spin is this. We're in a nation that we have a population of approximately 1.3 to 1.5 million people, and as a new political vehicle that we're presenting to the population, I do believe, and I think that we are working on this and how we are able to incorporate it within our policies. But it's actually a matter of doing proper reform across the board and creating a proper system where we are able to recognize the skill set, not the sex, of the job being done. In a sense like that, you now would take away the equation of male-female and put the focus on, is the individual able and capable of getting the job done? And creating a proper scale system as far as equating that person's salary that would reflect that work. Not having to take into consideration whether it's a man or a woman. I mean, that is the evolution, I think, personally for me, and is what I myself is actually brokering for, where the PP and our policies are concerned, where women's rights are concerned. And again, PP is not trying to segregate anyone. We don't want to segregate where race is concerned or even gender. And you see, that's the message we're trying to drive home. Look, that's my 2 cents where that dynamics is concerned. But it's a several prong effect. It's many different areas that we have to go into. And even though, yes, we're discussing the fact of women's rights and equality tonight, we have to take in consideration, even go back to education, the arm of education. Because if we were to create a proper system, an educational system where we're at least able to develop the minds of young people, young men and young women, where a level of respect is gained once again. It's many different prongs that the approach has to be taken towards this. Because it's not just one area you can address, because it's again, everything is broken Trinidad and Tobago, and everything is interconnected whether we like it or not. And Trinidad again, we can't fix one part, excuse me, and we have another part that's deficient. It has to be a holistic, several prong approach that is addressing several different things all at the same time. So our think tanks right now that's behind the scenes, that's what's taking up a lot of the time, because we're trying to figure out a proper mechanism and a way in how we're rolling out these policies, because again, we don't want to put the system in shock whatsoever. So, we are on our end, not even in government, crossing our T's and dotting our I's, because we have one chance at this, and this has to work. It will work, because we're doing the research, we're doing our homework. We're not coming with a question mark in our minds hoping for something to work. We need to be sure that this is something that will work for our demographics, and it's very easy for it too, because again, Trinidad and Tobago, it's 1.5, 1.3, 1.5 million people. Listen, we can micromanage this country. It's very, very easy, and oh my gosh, Trinidad and Tobago, come down Stanmore Avenue now, 19 Stanmore Avenue on a Saturday at noon. Here are policies, know for fact, ask your questions, and see the breakdown on how these things are going to work. I'm kind of strange tonight, because there's so many things happening right now out in the public space. And I'm trying to wrap my head around a lot of things, because I hear people in the citizenry talking a lot of things that in my mind, I still believe they simply don't have all the information, all the facts in order to make the proper decision for themselves, because there's all types of rhetoric, there's all types of things being said. And again, these are people that simply don't have 100% of the information that they need to make comments or even make those type of decisions. So, I'll put a little pin in it right there. I don't want to take up the night, because there's so much to say, let me tell you. But anyway, Janice.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for that comment.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on and on, but again, there's just so much. There's so much to talk about, and whether we like it or not, really and truly, no matter what subject we try to put on the forefront, there's always other subjects that interconnects with that still has to be addressed within that same conversation anyway. So, time is of the essence, Trinidad and Tobago, and we depend on you. So, if we're going to have change, again, you are the one that's going to help bring that change. If you don't want change, well, hey, sit down home, relax, what I can tell you.
I think we also need to mention the fact that this Saturday there's going to be a public meeting in Talparo at the Oakland Recreation Club on the Talparo Main Road, where we're going to be having great speakers.
Yes.
We're going to be having our political leader, our chairman, our security advisor.
There's a host of people that's going to be there. So Trinidad and Tobago,
You need to come down
to
to
La Hocketa,
hear
Talparo.
policies.
What's the name of that? The bar? It's
Oakland
Bar Recreation Bar.
Club.
Trinidad, come down, man. Come down. See your party. This is not our party. This is your party. Trinidad and Tobago's party. There's no segregation here. There's no division here. Everyone is accepted, no matter what walk of life you are. And again, you have to be here to see for yourself. I don't know what to do again to drive it home to you all, really and truly, because you have the formula right in front of you. The old saying goes, what my grandmother always used to say, you can take the camel to the well, but you can't force it to drink. You know what I mean? And but anyway.
I personally think that change is coming slowly, because I read today that Norman Christie is leaving as head of BP, Shell, and a woman is going to be replacing him at the helm. And I thought that was great. So it goes to show that there are changes that are being made, but slowly, not fast enough as we would like. And then there was an ad from FCB showing where the woman is a CEO, and one of the managers was also Woman of the Year, Manager of the Year, but it's a woman. And then there was the Employee of the Year, which again was a woman. So I thought it was really great that they are actually now bringing women out and giving them the recognition, which before they never did.
We also will have our first president who's a female.
That's correct, our first president.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely it's coming, and then I think it's also a worldwide effort as well, because all around the world, every country, there were campaigns, there was movement. Even in Trinidad here, there is a group that did session. In fact, for this week, for the rest of the week, they're going to be doing seminars and different things for women. So again, it makes people aware that, look, we have people out there who are recognizing that we as women have to get up and do something. We should have had a march, a women's march. That should have happened tomorrow, if not today. Because usually, personally for me, I prefer Friday for a walk, as opposed to any other day of the week. Right? So I found that on a bigger scale, we should have had thousands and thousands of women out in the streets of Port of Spain, walking, if it's just around the savannah. Right?
Well, the question is, how many women on the ground here in Trinidad is actually aware that today is International Women's Day? Was it publicized? Was there a marketing campaign to bring awareness to this? Because I met a couple of women today and they didn't even know that. And I'm like, really? You don't know it? You know what I mean? It's like, you are a woman or are you not? I'm just kidding. You know who you are.
They had a march in Port of Spain today. I saw the Trinidad Tobago Police Band with the female officers, so I'm assuming it was TTPS in conjunction with, I saw the midwives club, group and some other groups, and they had brownies and stuff, but I didn't particularly like the fact that it was TTPS having a march, because I felt they could have been better utilized with having some sort of forum in Woodford Square or some park where there are a lot of people and you teach people how to identify human trafficking or safety for women. Do put up a little booth in PTSD and show women, you're coming off the bus, hold your bag, and show women how to carry about themselves better. Man, you're talking on the phone, there are guys that snatch women are targets these days, your vehicles. Look, there was the guy that attacked the woman with the toddler. You're seeing a lot of these things now, so they could have used their position as police to better educate your population, your females, especially as today's International Women's Day, and use it as that, not march through the city. I really didn't think that was something that they should have done. They should have used their skill to push to empower women on safety, because we don't really take safety seriously in this country. We are reactive, and you need to show your citizenry about being more proactive.
And along those lines, and I perfectly agree that some sort of campaign should have been done to advise women that, look, March 8th is International Women's Day. And that really should have come out of the office of the Prime Minister, because I believe that there's a minister in the office of the Prime Minister who handles that sort of thing. And quite frankly, they could have done like ads to let people know, so that at least it would have allowed people the opportunity to plan, something to represent women on for today's International Women's Day. The other topic I want to talk about is the violence against women. That is really escalating out of control. We also have the human trafficking. In fact, I was watching a show the other day, and they don't call it human trafficking in Europe. They call it skin trade. And this is where, in Asia in particular, families actually sell their girl children. And that is something that needs to be really looked at in a big way. So in terms of the violence against women, what do you think that we again as women should be doing for other women out there in terms of assisting them? Because, you have the home violence, you have the abuse, you have the bullying. What again can we do? Because if women are not prepared to stand up and say, look, enough is enough, I am leaving this man, moving on with my life, but I need help because I may not have the financial ability to move out and get my own place. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with some of these women. That's why they end up staying in the relationship.
I think that it is important for us to have a working vehicle where women can, access assistance to help treat with this situation. I'd say that it seems as though our culture, men, and this is not to bash men, but women is seen, as property. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily as the helpmate as the Bible would have spoken of. And so, they kind of, you're my property. I think in the news we had a situation with a Russian woman and a guy, and he was asking the court to not allow her to leave the country with his child. But there's an abusive relationship between the both of them. And when he beat her, he would have made a comment that he had her under check or something to that extent or whatever. But I'm just saying that we need more support. It is very easy for people to sit down and say, well, she keep going back or she's staying there in the relationship. Why? Because there isn't facilities, there isn't services out there that they can access, meaningful services. Services that can empower women to no longer have to depend on the male counterpart, because many times there are children involved. And as women, we want security for our children. We look after that first, and we will sacrifice our well-being for theirs. And it's something that we would overlook, and we would stay in this situation because they are the ones that making all the money. You are at their mercy. And so, if there isn't the support or there is nowhere for us to go, I know that we have some women's home and some shelters, but is the facility enough? Are these facilities adding value and empowering women to get out, to educate themselves and even position themselves in society where they now can really make a mark and provide for their families and not have to stay in the situation? So it's a lot of issues that has to be looked at, and it must be a systematic approach to change, and to aid women in leaving this type of situation.
Now, in terms of PEP's policies, what would be your take on how PEP will be assisting women?
Well,
what's your understanding so you could explain to the members?
Okay. I think that PEP's position in terms of women, I think one of the things that really captures me in terms of the party is even within the name, Progressive Empowerment Party. And I think that what we would seek to do is to ensure that our policies that are rolled out with regard to women and its social issues that there would be facilities available to these women, that they would not have to think that they have to stay in the situation, but that they can get out. That there would be, this line of access to information, not just information, but service that can definitely assist them in getting out of the situation, even if it's housing, right? Because we talk about housing for all. Yes. Even single parents, we have a lot of single parents, a lot of single mothers and fathers out there. Right. Being able to have your own home, being able, even if you're a minimum wage employee, you'll be able to own a home. And I think that for women, that's one of the major possessions that you can have. The security of a home with your children in safety. And I think that the PEP policy is one that pushes for that. Yes. Not just for women, but for all genders. For all.
Citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Lima would have raised a really important our men. I thought about the fact that I would be here, and I know that I don't want to necessarily come and have this be some kind of male bashing seminar, No. So I was thinking, sometimes right. I think that we need our men to understand to our children that we are raising our we are built differently, correct, no doubt, but they must be able to together and work together. This need for equity would disappear, for want of a better word. I think that together we can do anything, and as women we need our men standing at our side.
Yes,
we do. We need them to support us, to be there, learn to even if you can't do anything emotionally, woman, she went through woman problems, woman, oh God, woman again. It's not so much as, saying, but how could I help you? Tell me what you need from me. Simple things. It doesn't mean you have to be like, oh gosh, get down on your knees and yes, let me help me, what you want me to do? It's just that simple gesture. It doesn't have to be anything big.
There is in but we need to be able to reach these women that are lacking that type of display of how you take care of your kids, how you raise them, and to have that support, because sometimes we just don't have the support. I have 2 children. My mother had 7.
Wow.
And No.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Father looked at all of us and said, you know what? The eldest is going to be held responsible for what the others do. So she now became my older sister. She ruled the roost, so nobody can do what they wanted, and that went down the line because there came a time when I had to take over that leadership role and pull every man jack in line. You know, so you found that because of that happening, we had to learn on our own to be nurturing to the rest of it because my mother was just popping babies, unfortunately. You know? So you found that when she was not at home, we had to be feeding. That grounding will already be instilled in them where good parenting is concerned. I tell everybody, because I do articles in the Sunday Guardian, and some of my articles talk about, you know, the showing of affection. Why it is you can't go up and just hug your child and say, I love you. That is learned behavior.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids who when they are in a family that do not do that, you find that when they get older, they cannot show emotions.
Yeah. I think too,
And it creates a problem in the marriage.
when you tell boys, you know, when they're crying, oh stop crying, you're behaving like a girl. And somebody told me that they don't like that because, you know, you're kind of making boys feel that it's wrong to cry and they're weak for crying and only girls cry because girls are somehow weak and soft or stop crying, you're getting on like a girl. And I was like, no, you can't tell him that. You have to let him know nothing is wrong with crying, but at least say what is bothering you. And that is something that we need to teach our children in school now because they are reacting out of anger. It's like they don't understand how to deal with their emotions or their anger.
You also have the girls about who more bad than who. It's just a matter of the level of exposure that our society has had to present day. What I propose is saying with the PEP government, I do believe that we will put major focus on psychology, the social development of the nation. I mean, again, it's a several pronged effect. So Trinidad, we can't do it without you, and that's just the bottom line, you know. That's my 2 cents with this. Yeah.
But you notice how everything is interconnected.
Everything is.
The lack of education, and then in schools, I believe sex education is important.
Very.
So
it should not be taboo.
Yeah.
Our kids
you
are.
need to talk about it. It's part of nature.
But this exactly.
If you don't teach them the correct way, their friends or whoever will teach them their way
but
and
hold
their
on.
version might.
But again, that's why is what they are exposed to, because when you have your tablet or your phone, laptop or whatever, you have access to all these music videos, all these movies, posts from other people from all over the world.
Yeah.
There's no real censorship where, let's say, social media is concerned, so just about anything is being played. Anyone has access to anything. So I'm just saying that the parent role now in our 21st century time that we're in is not looking at things as a taboo anymore. We have to take the responsibility as parents in teaching our children the good and the bad.
Yes.
Let them know what drugs is about. Let them know what sex is about, what lesbianism, what homosexuality, because all of these things are things they're going to be exposed to, if not already. And the question is in the way in which they're exposed to this, because if they is exposed by some device, that's one instance. But then you have exposure actually individually with other people, other entities, other their peers, and they're at an age where experimentation is a ridiculous thing, especially now in this time where they're seeing so many crazy things out there, and what we did not see in our time. You know what I mean? So my point is that we are simply being blind and not wanting to truly address our actual issues. We still want to play and pretend or think that we are still in the 19th and 20th century, and in reality, you know what, I love to reminisce. I love to think of the days me growing up with my grandmother. It was a wonderful time, and I wish if I can have that time back right now. I wish if I could do the exact same things that I did back then. I wish if my kids has the opportunity to be able to do those things. But you know what? I myself as a parent have to be very aware of the environment that they're in. And I have a lot of family members and friends that say to me, you're a horrible parent. And I say, well, okay then, if you think I'm so wrong for being the one to teach my kid right and wrong, good and bad, and actually having them exposed to this, not saying that I'm going to have my kid drink alcohol or do drugs or, you know what I mean, that type of thing, but I'm saying that as a parent is for you to actually bring that awareness to them, not by their peers or by their family members, such as cousins and all that sort of madness. I mean, really, but again, it's also where redevelopment of the society is concerned, because parents themselves, they also need a level, like you said, Lima, information of a type of retraining or a type of technique in which to have parental type skills. You know what I mean? So again, we keep going back to this, it's all a full circle. Everything is interconnected. Everything is interconnected, and just 1 hour Frontline once a week is no time at all for you to actually learn what the PP is actually about. Come down 19 Stanmore Avenue, noon, every Saturday. We're open. The only political party that's open every week for the public, year-round. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And again, this is why we say this is your party. It's not ours. We're just here as the custodians in keeping the wheels oiled for you to drive this where it needs to go as a nation. So I myself, listen, I put a post out just recently saying that I was talking to someone which I thought was a friend, and I still do think this person is a friend. But what has hurt me is the level of ignorance, because what they were saying to me, because I'm explaining to them the policies of PEP and everything else, and they're turning around and they're saying, well, I'm not interested. I am accustomed with where I am. I know what they give, and I know how I can make ends meet, and I think I'll stay in the safe zone. So my question then was, so you prefer, and his quote was, one of man's greatest fears is the unknown. I know time is running out on me, but to cut a long story short is, my response to him was, you prefer to know that you're going down a road of doom versus giving a chance to betterment. And I ended it right there. I walked away, and I can't deal with that level of ignorance, and I have full respect for this person. But anyway, that's for another day.
What is going to happen to him is that as he gets older and things get worse, if the government stays in power, is that he's not going to be able to live. It will be a struggle for him to live, and then and only then will it hit home to him what is really going on in this country.
Listen, it's going to hit home for a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago. The wider part of the population is really going to hit home. You're sitting down watching TV, looking at Venezuela, looking at Haiti, and looking at all these other despondent, crazy places around the world. We are right there, Trinidad and Tobago. Mark my words on that. And I'm not calling wrong on Trinidad and Tobago, but this is just the reality in which we live. And we have to wake up and smell the coffee because, time is running out. Like Philip says, half a ship don't sail, Half a ship don't sail. But anyway.
Yes. What I found also very interesting is the quote, the theme for IWD is the time is now. It's the same theme that we have as well here. The time is now for change. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, the time is now, Trinidad and Tobago, for change because you guys are very lucky to have a political body right now that you have full control of and taking it where it needs to go. It's like a no-brainer. The party is yours. You come, you see, you hear, understand, and if there's something you don't like, you have your voices heard, and we retool, we go back to the table, we try to bring it and meet you halfway. That's the whole purpose. This is no PNM and UNC and COP and all of this other garbage that's passed through the parliament doors, This is something real, and if you don't want to believe from what we say on a video, you know what, come in person, and I dare you, Trinidad and Tobago. You come in person and you see the realness, smell it, taste it, touch it. No, this is real.
Shazal, if you're listening, I would ask that you give us a call now so that you can give your message as the head of the Women's Arm for today. We're waiting for your call. There she is.
Hello? Wait a minute. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Why isn't it coming through the speakers? Okay. No, that's alright, Go ahead.
Okay, so, good night, first and foremost. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
I just want to, first of all, commend the team for raising issues also affecting men. That goes to show exactly how progressive this party really is. I'm really happy to see that. Nice to see Tony. If I'm married, or if I'm about to be married, or if I have kids. And I'm kind of taken aback by this question, but my response was like, I said to them, well, what about stressing on paternity leave? Why aren't we stressing on this for fathers as well? Because if we did, I wouldn't have to take time off from my job if I decided I wanted to start a family tomorrow. It would be a shared responsibility. So I think that's something we need to pay attention to.
Yes.
Agreed.
Sorry?
Agreed. We agree with you.
I saw a comment on the live, and I wanted to address this. I'm not going to call the person's name, but he said something along the lines of the woman of the future, men are dying breed. And I feel like I really, really want to address this, and I don't think that... I think this is exactly what we are progressive, because we are not sitting here bashing men to raise or elevate women, I really want to invite this person to 19 Stanmore Avenue, if he doesn't mind, to one of our meetings, because I need him to understand how important he is in our society. The role he plays as a man is important to this world, especially as a father as well. So I would like him to come down and have a meeting with us.
Yes. If you get a hold of him, definitely, we'd actually look at the live after and see if we can identify him and touch base with him.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Well, thank you so much, Chazelle. Lovely hearing from you. And I love your message.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
calling. We'll talk soon.
No problem. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
I would also like to invite Sarah, if she's listening, to please call in as well.
Oh. I am connected though.
One of the things I want to mention is, how children are affected when they grow up in a family where there's violence. Now, I grew up, okay, on that note, I'll stick a pin
Stick a pin in that one.
Hello.
Good night.
Hi, good night. How are you all at Frontline?
Wonderful.
Very
Between the two of them, they have five babies. And from January 2017, seeing them stick with PEP and build PEP, they were the pioneers of PEP when PEP was on the road. And I think for International Women's Day, these are the lived experiences of the female couples. And I think that it was wonderful seeing you all converse and talk about what PEP plans to do. And in light of International Women's Day, I made a post today saying that I was grateful that we had a day that, put forward critical thinking on women's issues, because statistically it shows how women are undervalued and how badly they are treated on an international scale. Our crime statistics and our social situation is also evidence of this. But that's what 2019 is working towards pressing for progress through policies and programs. I just wanted to comment on the people who sent me the well wishes on the live and thank you, and I am doing better. But just me being sick alone, in fact, is a it is a testament that healthcare in this country is a woman's disease. When it comes to housing, and also remember housing and healthcare is part of our having women and families as stakeholders as we build these policies is critical to the success of the execution of the vision of PEP. And I just want to say congratulations on a successful show, and keep going strong, and thank you for taking the call.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sarah.
Night, sir.
Okay.
Very good. Now that was Sarah and Chazelle, two strong women in the party who really, work very, very hard on, dealing with the women and the social issues that we have in Trinidad and Tobago right now. But what I was about to say before she called is that I think one of the things that we need to look at, especially for children who grow in families where there is violence, because I grew up in a family where there was violence, and it is a very traumatic experience for any child. And I think that once that, you know, it is identified that there's violence going on in a family, then there should be programs where these children can go and speak to psychiatrists or psychologists and, you know, get help, because when they get older, they either turn into someone who will beat as well. There's that lack of trust. Towards the men, as well as, I remember I used to dream and wake up in a panic that he would leave the home one day, and I didn't want that. You know, because even though there was that violence, he was still very much caring towards us as children. So, you know, these are things that need to be dealt with, and I didn't want to get married.
I think another main thing that we have to put extensive focus on is on-the-job sexual harassment.
Yes.
I think it's a major problem that women around the world, but primarily in Trinidad, I've heard countless stories, and it's as if it's almost a norm. It's a normal thing. You go into any company, you have someone of authority in that company who might be male, and they I guess, in a matter of you keeping your job, you have to do certain things. And you know, that's kind of the status quo, what's going on. And it's surprising that it's not something that's being talked about on a grander scale in the public space. I'm not sure if it's that women are in fear of reprimand or losing their jobs or something along those lines, but you know, again, with a progressive empowerment government, you know, there will be policies in place to be able to address that in a major way. And again, we have a broken nation right now. We have no laws that actually work and stick or even make sense. There's no accountability, no transparency. My point is that with a PP government, and we do have transparency and accountability, T's are crossed, I's are dotted. My point is that we would be on the road for healing the nation, fixing a lot of things that's taking place. And again, where women are concerned, sexual harassment is a major issue here in this country. And aside from the workplace, walking down the road, I mean, it is absolutely crazy, and it's almost as if men do not have a level of respect for women, and they simply look at women as sexual objects at the end of the day. That's just what is being portrayed right now. And especially if we're forging for equality for women, and we want to basically bring a level playing field. Again, these are things that has to be brought into the public space. We have to discuss this, and we have to make proper policies and mechanisms that can address it.
There need to be some programs that deals with that.
Deals with that, correct.
You see, you see, what you have is a situation where lack of knowledge causes these things to prevail and to persist in the work environment. And I think that government has a lot of responsibility to sensitize its population as it relates to these issues, and how do you identify whether you're being sexually harassed, and how do you treat with it, and what are your rights, and that kind of thing. We need consistent education and empowerment.
Can I just throw 2 cents into that again?
Yeah.
Where I like what you just said. Again, we have a country that don't have opportunities. When you have women going into the workplace that may have a child at home or a family that they need to take care of, they may be holding on 2 jobs, they can't afford to lose the job. And I think this is one thing that men in power recognizes or identifies, and they pounce on that. They use that to their advantage. And again, that's just one area or one thing that I myself as a man can identify to. And there's a host of different things. And again, we need to probably do another show and address this in detail.
I think too, our media doesn't really highlight these issues.
Correct.
There are certain things that showed up in the media a while ago with a CEO or somebody from one of those companies where what he did actually harass a female, and she was later fired for that. Where was the media in pursuing that story to get the truth and bring it out?
Yeah. Again, it's all broken. It's all broken. It's all broken. And with a PEP government, media, you're actually going to have to work, really, really work.
Yes. All right, so as we're coming to the end of our segment.
It's that time already? My goodness.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Time goes when you're having fun.
I tell you. And me, at times say I'm playing Spirit and I Trinidad. I have 3 women in them. Pressure. Anyway. Let me don't put myself in trouble.
You know? Okay, so I don't because we have our public meeting at the Oakland Recreational Club on Talparo Main Road, Talparo, starting at 6 p.m. Come and hear our speakers, come and listen to our policies, come and ask questions, because at the end of the day, it's all about you, the citizen. Don't forget that you can become a volunteer and can serve on any of our committees or teams that include the National Executive, the Constituency Executive, the Constituency Representative, the Youth Arm, the Women's Arm, the Security Team, Events Committee. The reason you need to volunteer is because we believe that citizens should have a say in how they are governed. So we invite you to volunteer, to serve within our organization and help advance the vision and the mission of the PEP, one people under one flag. You know, as Anthony was saying earlier, instead of just making comments, see what we're about. The Progressive Party is also voluntary and depends solely on the contributions from our members. Which will require significant funding. The PEP is guided by principles of transparency and accountability, and we assure you that your generosity will be used solely for the advancement of the organization as we work our way towards a better Trinidad and Tobago. The Progressive Empowerment Party will be working for you to ensure that no citizen is left behind. I would like to thank our guests, Lima and Giselle. Thank you so much for coming and adding your voice to the conversation. I want to thank Anthony as well to give his viewpoint from the male perspective. And we want to those of you who are on the roads, please be safe. Good night.
Good night.
Nice.